Okay, so we are on to day number 2. This is the preparation I have to do for it. So today's missions are going to be Terraform, and the second mission is going to be Scorch Earth. They're both going to be on GW2. Terraform will be on Crucible Battle, and then we're going to have Tipping Point for Scorch Earth. So we're going to show the deployments and how I'm going to prepare for these, and then for the second part of the video, which it's going to be the same video, just in like 8 minutes for you guys, I'm going to go over the results and how the planning worked out, and if there were any big mistakes I made, and we'll just basically talk about it. Okay, so number 1 for Crucible Battle. Now, this is a challenging deployment for me. The reason for this is Terraform. You cannot touch these objectives from behind the walls. The angles get a little bit funky. So if you're going into some good shooting, this can be a very challenging map to play on because you do have to terraform everything turn 1. Otherwise, you're going to be at a huge points disadvantage. And for my army, I only have 11 units. So this is a very tricky mission for me, especially on this particular layout. So how am I going to solve that? Well, basically what I'll do is I'll start an impulsor. I'll have like a combi lieutenant inside of it. I'm going to have the lion right next to my ICC. I'm going to put them in the center here. And I'll just have them positioned so that, shooting is not possible or unreasonably difficult at least. My Desolation Marines, which are very, very key in a lot of matchups here, are just going to hang out back here. They're going to be shooting stuff all game long. Of course, Inceptors in Deep Strike, and my turn 1 Deep Striking Terminators in Deep Strike. My others, I'm actually going to start on the board on this map. This is a very reasonable place for these Deathwing Knights to actually be deployed, is right in this pocket. So what you can do is you can kind of measure where people can shoot from. So people, if you want to see like what is the actual angles that you're safe from, if your opponent is standing here, as long as you're not touching that red line, you're actually safe. So I can even stand here, and no one will be able to shoot the Deathwing Knights from that angle. Then what I can do is, if someone wants to, say, put a shooting unit right here, with a 10-inch, which is the average battle tank movement, this will be approximately where they're going to be able to get to turn 1. Oh, geez, that was a poor line. Sorry, let me delete that one. And so what I'll do is I'm just going to measure that one more time. Doom right there. And then I can draw a line from right here. I don't know why it disappeared. But what this shows me is that I can actually stand here with my Deathwing Knights on turn 1 and not be shot. So this is a very safe place to deploy on the board. And since I'm going here anyway, this is the obvious staging point, I think I'm just going to start my second squad Deathwing Knights actually on the table on this particular map. Calidus doesn't really matter. She's a dead drop, so she's going to be here or something. Combi Lieutenant is going to be actually inside the Impulsor here. And then we'll have some scouts hanging out roughly like this. They'll be all positioned so that if I go second, I can scout them back to be wholly within this. I'm not going to fuss around too much here to make sure it's accurate. You guys know what I'm doing. One Gladiator Lancer, probably going to hang out right here because he's going to get basically to cover the whole board from this one position. And that's going to be the army deployment. So basically what happens is I go first. We'll have a lovely little combi lieutenant who just gets out, touches this. He'll get to terraform for me. Scouts will terraform for me turn 1 if I go first. And if I don't go first, then, I'll just basically react. I don't really care if he exposes a lot of shooting to shoot into my Impulsor. I guess it really depends on the army. Like, if they have a lot of anti-tank, I probably don't put the Impulsor here. I would probably put it maybe a little safer like this. So, I mean, there is wiggle room here, guys. So, if it's against an army with, like, lots of shooting, maybe I put the Impulsor maybe in the center instead, and I can shuffle some things around. If it's not an army with a lot of shooting or just very limited shooting, I'd probably just touch. So, this is variable based off the army I go into. And, but what this allows me to do is it allows me to do quite a bit. If they don't have a ton of shooting, I actually can turn 1, get the lion here. And then I can actually put Azrael right behind him, which will give him Lone Op, which is a power move, but in a lot of matchups, dude, this actually really can screw your opponents because it basically puts them in a position where they have to full send into the lion, and if they don't have the ability to get there very easily, let's say it's not like an advanced shoot, it's a very, very strong strategy. So I don't think I'm going to end up doing it, but I like having the ability to do it, if that makes sense. Otherwise, honestly, I like putting him right here, Azrael right here, so Azrael can extend the bubble by 6 inches where he charges, and that's where they'll likely move up. So that is really what I'm thinking for my deployment. My Desolation Marines can basically shoot the entire board from here, more or less, 36 inches. Yeah, so I can shoot all of this stuff in no man's land. Can't really shoot into his deployment zone, but that's okay. Not particularly relevant. You could also start the Desos inside the Impulsor if you want to use the Impulsor to move and shoot, but I tend to just start them here. If my opponent has lots of deep striking, Calidus or the Combi Lieutenant might end up being over here, so I can kind of, you know, change some things around. I don't like starting Azrael in the Impulsor, but occasionally I will. So this is basically what my plan is if I go first on my Terraform. And if I go second, you just do the staging, and then you try to get lots of points in the last round. So hopefully we will see how it goes, and I'll be back with, you know, information about how that works. Now let's see what happens if I do this on Tipping Point in Scorched Earth. Now the important critical aspect of Scorched Earth is that you do not need to hold 3 objectives. You only need to hold 2, because you get 5 for 1, 5 for 2, or so 10 for 2. But you don't get anything for hold more. So there's no point in trying to hold more than 2 objectives. So it really plays into my army strength of denial a lot better. So now on this particular map, these guys probably go in Deep Strike. I probably am going to do basically the same thing right here. Combi Lieutenant inside, he'll go ahead and do the movement. The Impulsor can then go do other stuff if I need him to do. I could also potentially start the Impulsor here, which is a very reasonable thing as well. Sometimes it's not a bad idea to have Azrael inside, because there is a safe line from your opponent here. Oh geez, where's my red line? Oh, come on. Let's try that again. So there is a way to deploy the Impulsor here without touching that line, so they can't really shoot him from the deployment zone. So this is an option on this map as well. I'm not sure what I like. I might do that there. The Lancer could also hang out here, because then he can shoot this line, he can shoot this line, he can shoot this line. So this is actually probably a better place for the Lancer. So maybe the Impulsor actually just starts here. And then after he deposits the Combi Lieutenant in turn 1, he basically is just going to, you know, more or less just screen out here. Just do stuff and be a little bit annoying. So on this map, I love this position. I love having the Lion and the Combi Lieutenant right next to each other, because the Combi Lieutenant will give the Lion loan up, and then the Lion gives the Combi Lieutenant basically immunity from being charged. So it's a really, really brutal wombo combo that if your opponent is not ready for it, this is a beautiful way to hold this objective. Azrael, of course, will just basically jump right here, and he'll be ready to do a charge if my opponent comes anywhere near him, trying to move block or whatever. Turn 1, you love to deep strike the Deathwing Knights right here. And it's just a glorious place to put them. Because once you get them here, let me just kind of show you this. Once they come here, I can get like a brutal amount of OC right in the corner of the objective, right from this position. I think I can get 4 guys touching this if you angle them correctly. And with a 6-inch, I charge you at the end of your charge phase. They cannot touch the objective without allowing you to charge them, which is a horrible, horrible thing for your opponent to get charged from this position at the end of their charge phase. So this is desperately where I want my Deathwing Knights on this map, turn 1, if I get the lucky enough to go turn, if I get lucky enough to drop turn 1. So this is basically what I'm thinking. Other options you could do is you could have like the Combi Lieutenant here, so he can go area denial for you turn 1, but with this army, I don't really worry about secondaries as much, because it's much more focused on primary denial. So this is the plan for Tipping Point. And we'll be back basically in like 27 seconds, and I'll show you how it worked. So hope you guys found value in this, and I've seen.
And we're back, and alas, your boy made some really bad mistakes. So this was not as good a day as yesterday. So I actually lost both my rounds today. The first round I lost by 3 points, and the second round I lost by like 40 plus points. So what I want to do real quick is I want to talk about the game plan just a little bit, what worked and what didn't work. Well, here's the deal. The game plan actually completely worked. Really, really happy with that. What didn't work was a few of the really terrible decisions I made in-game. So my first game I played against Mr. Garrett, and you're going to see him on the review video when we do it all. Awesome dude. He was playing Skitari Hunter Cohort Admech. I had him beat, and I just made one really critical decision, which just basically put me into a spiral where I ended up losing by 3 points. This is realistically like a 30-point swing, and it was such a dumb choice that I made. Garrett was being very polite, and he tried to give me the out of letting me know that, oh, I got dice. I just got bad dice, and that's why I lost. I didn't get bad dice. I mean, the dice weren't good, but that was completely irrelevant. It's because I made a stupid choice. And I'm going to detail that choice for you right now so that you never make this bad decision, so you can learn from my mistakes and you never make those mistakes. So that's what I do. I analyze my own games, and I make sure I give myself feedback so that I can play better next time. And that's what I want from all of you guys as well. So basically, here's the scenario. I'm playing against AdMech. Now, I don't have AdMech models downloaded, so you'll just have to forgive me. I'm going to be using the Jackals models here for this. But effectively, what was happening, I had the Lionel Johnson, and he had a 2-inch charge right against these Jackals here. Then I also had a 7-inch charge into not jackals, Skitarii hunters. Just remember these are actually Skitaris because it was a AdMech matchup, and I just don't have the models downloaded. Right, so he had a 2-inch charge into this Skitarii unit, and he had a 7-inch charge into this Skitarii hunters unit or Skitarii rangers, whatever. So what I did is I charged this squad with my Deathwing Knights. Got like a decent charge. They pretty much all came in like this. It was something like that. And then I said, okay, I'm going to make this 7-inch charge from the Lion into this Skitarii unit. And I had a CP to reroll it, so I was like, all right, well, that gives me pretty good odds. Well, I rolled a 4 into a 4. And by not remaking this, there were other units still alive. This is just the relevant scenario I have detailed here. And because I rolled like a 4 into a 4 or whatever it was, basically it gave him enough units where he was able to deny me primary and unterraform a couple times. Had I made this charge, I would have won. Now, here's what I should have done. Had I been an intelligent boy, I would have done this. And I want you to take this to your heart so that you never forget it, okay? And I know I'll never forget this again because I just got excited and it was dumb. What I should have done is I should have made like a, it doesn't matter. Let's say I made like a freaking 4 or 5-inch charge or whatever right here, which is almost guaranteed. The Deathwing Knights would have completely eliminated this entire squad. They would have basically killed it all, right? Then what I could have done is just piled the Lion in 3 inches, engaged this unit, then murdered this entire unit. So I never had any need to ever actually make a 7-inch charge. I could have simply just charged this unit, had the Deathwing Knights kill them, then pile in, kill this squad. Then there's literally no reason for me to risk the 7-inch charge. It was dumb. It was a bad mistake that I made. It wasn't dice screwing me. Remember, guys, dice almost never screw you. Even if you think that you have cursed dice, you don't. I know I'm going to have comments down below saying, yeah, but I'm the exception. You're not the exception. I'm not saying there's never been a game that people haven't lost due to the dice. Of course, there is a game that you can lose to the dice. It'll happen occasionally, but it's very rare. This is not it. This is an example of a bad decision, and this is what the correct decision would have been. So I urge you to actually analyze your own games and see if you can come up with things like this, because it will make you a much better player. I'm a better player now. This is something I know. This is something I teach, but I hadn't ever actually made this mistake in game before, and I just got excited, and I will never make this mistake in game again. So I appreciate Garrett for giving me a great match. It was still a very close one. It ended up losing by about 3 points. It was awesome. Then in the next round, I got Ravel stomped. Not much to talk about it. I'll do a bigger review later, but there were just some decisions I made, and Donovan was awesome. He was a great player. He just crushed me. So mad respect to him. So this was not my finest hour. We are now 2-2 in World Championships, so I'm going to see if I can pull out the next 3 to 4 wins, and I'll be back tomorrow with a big review for you guys as well. So I hope this was valuable, and I hope you guys actually learned quite a bit. All of the actual game plan that I had for these games was brilliant. It worked. Everything was perfect. It was some of the gameplay errors I had implementing later on that really screwed me. So take that for what you will. Dark Angels feel great right now, to be honest with you. Man, if I could have like an extra 55 points in this army, it would be mwah. But as is, the list is super solid. This was a player error, had nothing to do with the list, and I hope you all guys have an amazing evening. Crump on. Bye-bye.